I am here to give you the reality of the situation because you say you want it, but you're not acting like it. And I know this way too good. This was literally me a couple years back, and it almost scares me just talking about it since kind of brings a little bit of a nervousness to my whole body as I don't like myself in that position. But I felt like I was almost tapping a little bit back into it. So I wanted to share you my story and how I was this type of guy, what I did to get out of it so that you can finally one day actually get what you say you want by acting in a certain way so you can get it. This came to my mind pretty recently because if you're in the entrepreneurial space, the info space, or just like the e-commerce online type of space, you've probably heard about different entrepreneurs, but specifically Luke Belmar is kind of facing some sort of lawsuit. He ran up Capital Club and his business partner, they're like going through some shit, right? Besides the point, seeing that situation with Luke reminded me of a or in a position that I was in a couple years back, which is related to this specific topic. Because you see, a couple years back, I was on Instagram watching an IG live with Luke Belmar. He was basically just doing a typical Q&A, letting people in the Instagram. They asked him a question, he would roast them, give them feedback, give them advice, and just help them move their life forward. Obviously, me being way too scared to ask to join the live, I was just being a tire kicker and watching everybody else. But I remember specifically very, very well, there was this German guy that was like 25, 26 years old that joined the live. And then he asked Luke for some money making advice, just like typically how to make some money, just like a very simple, basic ass question. And Luke started asking questions like any normal dude should, because it's hard to give a very simple and straightforward answer for somebody that's asking basic ass questions. People are nuanced, people are different. So you can give different types of answers to different types of people, right? So Luke started asking him a couple questions. They were pretty thought provoking. So you could see the dude didn't really have a good answer to them because he had never really thought about these questions that Luke was asking. So that was a good thing. However, he did have one answer. And I remember he said, I want to become a millionaire before I'm 30. That's one of his goals. So then Luke started asking him questions surrounding his goal and what he's doing right now to get to that version of himself before he's 30. And you could see the reality check on the dude's eyes because he wasn't really doing anything. He was pretty much just losing money every year. He wasn't really doing any proper actions. And then Luke kind of just like, yo, you need to get your shit together. You need to start doing shit. And then he gave him some good advice on like how you should do sales, close for people, get to 10K a month, and you can use the money you get from 10K a month to build something bigger and get to 100K, then you're making a million, right? Pretty much kind of like the same path that I'm honestly on right now, which is almost funny, right? Because I saw this and then I remembered I was like, holy shit. It was almost like a slap to the face to myself because like I'm like, holy shit, that was back a couple years when I was like 22. And I was like, damn, this could be me in like 3 to 4 years. I have to get going, get my shit together, start doing some shit. Otherwise, I'm gonna end up like this dude. I want to be a millionaire before I'm fucking 26, dude. I don't care about 30, right? So at that point, I realized that I was like, shit, I need to start doing something. And that's kind of like my main thing for you here is I was in that position because I'd seen myself from 18 to 22 just saying I wanted all this. I said I wanted more clients, but I never posted any videos. I said I wanted more sales, but I never really pitching to anybody. I said I wanted more followers, but I wasn't creating nor posting any more videos than what I was already doing. So it was like, dude, I said I wanted all these things, but none of it actually correlates with what I'm doing. And that's when I realized, when they say fake it till you make it, and that is very true. However, if you're going to fake it till you make it, you have to act in a certain way. And if you're not acting, then you're not doing. And when you're not doing, you're just talking. And when you're just talking, you're never actually getting what you say you want. It's kind of crazy when when you think about it, but it just clicks and you realize that all this desire without any action, it's purely just delusion. And you know how we talk about being delusional and how manifesting all these things are very important. However, the way, like the reason we do this and the proper way we do this is by saying it, but then acting in what we say, not just saying shit, but then never doing it. That's the core difference. And if you can realize this, you will finally be able to actually get everything you say you want, right? It's the greatest example ever, but it's so basic. But I hope it really opens up your mind because it's not just related to my analogy. So it's like the good classic example, especially now with New Year's coming up as well. You know already, you have the people that buy a fucking gym membership. This might even be you. But it's the good classical example of people buying a gym membership. It feels good in the moment. It shows some sort of action because you're taking the step in the right direction to actually join the gym. However, you never really end up showing up. You never really end up working out. And what happens? You never get the body that you desire. This happens in every aspect of life because people that are going to the gym laugh at the people that buy a gym membership and never show up. But then they're the same type of fucking guys that say they want to make more money, but they never even have an offer to sell. It's the same type of dudes that say they want more followers, but they never even post any content. It pisses me off, but it's the reality of the situation. You can't sit there and fucking laugh at somebody for doing something that you're doing the same thing, but in a different aspect of life. You just can't. You're being a hypocrite, and it's dragging yourself down, to be polite. You're limiting yourself from what you can actually achieve. Stop saying that you want all this shit if you're not willing to actually do the actions that it takes to get there. Because if you just have all these goals and dreams with no action, it's just a dream on fucking life support, bro. You might as well just keep that in the hospital, to put it that way. And I don't mean to be rude, but I just want to wake you up to the reality of the situation, because when I realized this myself and I finally started to take action, that's when everything changes. Dude, I was the guy that was fucking living in the same place, same job, same wage, same everything for 4 years straight until I realized this. And I finally started to change one thing, which was started to take proper action. As soon as I did, my life completely changed the 180 in like 4 to 6 months. It's crazy how everything can change in such a short amount of time as soon as you finally start taking the right action. I really, really want to give you this lecture so you can realize it and apply it to your own life. It's crazy, but it really, like I said, it almost makes me a little bit nervous because nowadays I felt like I was almost getting too comfortable and kind of tapping back into that shit. And then I saw this thing with Luke and I was like, no, I can't. Like, I have to start doing the proper actions with what I'm saying. You can't just sit there and say you want all these things, but then you never act in that way. How do you ever expect to actually make anything happen if you're just talking about it? You know how talking about it even like feels good? It's like, yeah, I'm gonna become a millionaire before 30. Like, yeah, I'm talking about that shit. But then you never do anything. It's like, bro, you're gonna have a hard reality check when you're 30 and you have less money then than you have now. Holy shit, what are we even saying, dude? Right? It almost makes me mad. But you have to have momentum, you have to keep moving, and you have to do the right things. A dude that actually does what he wants or gets what he actually says he's gonna get, he's the type of dude that makes hard decisions even though he doesn't feel ready. He's the type of dude that just takes action without second guessing. He's the type of dude that's gonna do something without somebody else's opinion or somebody else's validation. He goes after it. And when I did that, I got what I wanted. And when you do that, you will do the same. There's a great book called The Millionaire Master Plan. It's also recommended by Luke. Not to glaze the guy, but he does have some good points, even though he's in some controversy. And the funny thing is with this book is that it kind of maps out who you are as a person and what your strengths and weaknesses are and what you need out of life, business, and so on to actually like become that. And it's pretty fascinating because again, every person is different. It's a nuance. Like you can't give a straight answer, but it really boils down to who you are as a person and how you can basically add more to like use it to your strengths, essentially, is my point. So when you realize this, you'll have a way easier time actually doing the proper actions, right? For instance, I'm over here kind of studying math and whatnot, right? Having some mathematical equations problems, and I'm not a numbers guy pretty much at all. Like I'm like to be creative, like talking to people and shit like that. That's what I'm good at, right? So why would I waste my time fucking trying to do all these numbers and shit like that when I'm not a guy that likes spreadsheets? I'm the creative one. That's where I excel. So I want to use that to my advantage and fucking really just double down on what I know I'm good at to expand, right? It's the same advice Luke gave the guy when he said he's good at talking to people. He's like, yo, you should do sales. Why are you trying to do e-commerce and marketing and shit when like that's not your strength? Like get to 10K a month with sales and then hire people or make a team around marketing, etc., etc. Right? So just have this realization of you can't sit there and say all these things, but then not acting in a certain way that's going to get you there, right? If you say you want to become a millionaire by 30, okay, start doing the proper actions that's going to get you there. And then when you read this book, you're like, okay, I'm the creative type of guy. I'm going to double down on the creative type of work, which is going to get me to where I want to go. And then the next step is, then you have everything in a step-by-step way. I hope this makes sense, but it's going to make it easier for you to do the right actions is basically my point. To just keep it simple for you guys. And I hope this analogy and example really portrays what I mean when I say that you have to start acting in that certain way. Please, it's going to change your life. Like, I'm not even kidding. Writing down all these things, saying that you want it, it is all fine and dandy. But the reason why we're writing it down and doing affirmations and saying all these things is because it's going to help us to start acting in that way. If you say something 100 times and you're still not doing it, something's wrong, something's off. So tap into your mind and be like, okay, I know I'm saying this. Now I have to act like it. So you say it and then you're like, okay, now I know what I've said. And then you realize the situation comes up because you've said it so many times. Like now I need to act on it. If you fall short there, then you're holding yourself back from your potential. Obviously, it's easier said than done, but if you actually want to be a go-getter, you have to start doing it. And I think you know that deep down within yourself as well, but you've just been too scared. So I hope this message to you really opens up your mind and has you finally taking the right action you need to do to get to where you want to go. Hope this helps. My Instagram is down below. Shoot me a follow, send me a message. I'm happy to help with whatever. Hope this helps. Take care.